All right, today we are diving into something that's, absolutely fundamental to how the web works, but it's something we often don't even think about. We're talking about navigation, and how for millions of people, a website can either be a clear path or a completely impossible maze.
I'm serious. Have you ever actually tried it? Just for a minute. Unplug your mouse, put it away, and try to get around your favorite website. It's a fun little experiment for some of us, but for a whole lot of people, this isn't an experiment. It's just how they use the internet every day.
For these users, the tab key is basically their mouse. It's what lets them jump from one interactive thing to the next. From a link to a button to a box you type in. And that little journey is supposed to make perfect sense, right? It should follow the way the page looks. But what happens when it just doesn't?
Okay, so let's get into the weeds here, because this is where a simple website can turn into a real nightmare. When that simple, predictable path breaks down, the user is suddenly trapped in what we're calling the web's hidden maze.
Just picture this. You're trying to fill out a simple form online. You'd expect to go from, say, your name, to your address, to your city. Easy. But instead, the cursor seems to have a mind of its own. It's jumping all over the screen. That logical path, it's completely gone.
And here is a perfect textbook example of what that broken path looks like. You start at the name field, right where you should. You hit tab, expecting to land on street address, but nope, you're suddenly way down at a subscribe checkbox. Then you tab again, and it jumps back up to the address field. It's total chaos.
And this is the real takeaway here. This isn't just a small bug or a minor annoyance. For someone who absolutely relies on their keyboard to get around, a page like this becomes pretty much unusable. They are totally and completely lost, with no clear way to move forward.
The good news is there is a way out of this maze. There's a rule, a core principle, designed specifically to stop this kind of chaos and make sure there's a clear, logical path for every single user.
And that rule is called focus order. It sounds technical, but it's actually a really simple and powerful idea. The order you tab through things on a page has to make sense. It needs to preserve the meaning and the flow of the content. Simply put, the path has to be logical.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It explains why this is so important. When the focus order is logical, we can all build a mental model, like a little map of the page in our heads. We know what to expect. But when that order is random, that map is useless, and all you're left with is confusion.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it, but this probably only affects a pretty small group of people, right? Well, you'd be surprised. A clear path actually helps a much wider range of folks than you might think. Let's take a look. Obviously, people with mobility impairments who can't use a mouse depend on this entirely, but so do people with certain visual impairments or reading difficulties, who can get really disoriented when the focus jumps around. And get this, think about someone using a screen magnifier, who can only see a tiny little portion of the page at once. If the focus suddenly leaps to somewhere off-screen, they're completely lost. It's like being teleported in the dark.
I mean, look at the difference here. It couldn't be more clear. A logical order gives you clarity, confidence, and efficiency. An illogical one, it leads straight to confusion, frustration, and total disorientation. It's the difference between a website being a helpful tool and it being a massive barrier.
So, theory is one thing, but let's look at how this plays out in the real world. What does a good path actually look and feel like compared to a really bad one?
So here's a fantastic example of getting it right. A simple pop-up dialog box. You click a button and the box appears. And here's the magic. Your keyboard focus immediately moves inside that box. You can tab through all the buttons and links inside it, but you're trapped in a good way. You can't accidentally tab out to the page behind it. Then, when you close it, your focus snaps right back to the button you clicked in the first place.
See, this is brilliant because you never lose your place. Your context is perfectly preserved. The path takes a clean, predictable little detour and then puts you right back where you started. It's intuitive. It just works. You don't even have to think about it.
Okay, now let's flip that coin and go back to our bad path, that jumbled, frustrating form from earlier. Remember that chaotic jumping around between fields and checkboxes? That is a textbook example of what not to do.
And the impact here is just, wow. It's dramatic. When the order is logical, you can see frustration is super low. But as soon as you introduce an illogical order, like in our broken form, frustration just skyrockets. People are way more likely to just give up and leave, which means the form has completely failed at its one and only job.
So what's the big picture here? How do we take all this and make sure that the things we're building are clear paths and not just more digital mazes?
Okay, if you're going to remember just a few things from all this, make it these. First, focus order is just the path your keyboard takes. That's it. Second, making that path logical is what lets people build that mental map of the page. Third, as a rule of thumb, that path should almost always match the visual flow of the page. And finally, and this is the big one, this isn't some niche, edge case thing. It is a fundamental part of building a web that actually works for everyone.
And for anyone who really wants to geek out, this whole concept has an official name and number. It's a core part of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which is kind of the rulebook for the whole internet. It's called Success Criterion 2.4.3, Focus Order. It's one of the key rules that makes the web navigable. So that really leaves us all with one big question to think about. Whether you're a designer, a developer, or really just anyone who uses the web, is the part of the web that you build and that you interact with every day a clear path that's designed for everyone, or is it just another hidden maze?